Welcome, welcome, welcome. What we have here is a Motorola SK33W stereo console, and we're going to restore it. Now, the SK33 has all the same bits as the 32. The SK32 is probably one of the most iconic and popular stereo consoles out there. But all the bits in this guy are exactly the same in this guy in the 33. It's got the same tuner section, record changer, voice of music rebranded, and of course that guy, the 3-channel big tube amp. Got the 15-inch woofer in there, and yeah, as you can see, it's pretty damn filthy. So we're going to blow this out with compressed air, all in here. 60 years of dirt and grime. It's pretty much everywhere, but yeah, it's pretty nasty. I already scuffed up the surface a little bit with a scourer because it was in pretty bad shape, and I'm very pleased with how it come out. So I'll probably end up oiling this, and then we'll see if we need to go any further. But the big thing is the grill cloth right there. It's just dirty. You can see the speaker, outlines coming through. There's some paint splashes here and there, and you can just see that it's just grubby. So I'm going to take it off, and it's a big job. These struts have got to come off, but taking that panel off is big because the speaker boards are mounted independently. But anyway, I'll show you as I go along, and hopefully it'll be successful. All right, that cleaned up a little bit better. Got all that dust and grime, as you can see. Probably a bit more of a wipe down with a wet rag. But I thought we'd fire this guy up and see what happens. And of course, the best way to do that is with that. That's a Variac. And we're gonna slowly bring the voltage up, because if you just go bang on, that's a ton of voltage going through a lot of old components, and there could be sparks and stuff. So we're going to do it the old-fashioned way, bring it up gently. But before we do that, we're going to change that one tube out. See that right there? That's a gassed tube. It's got a leak. So let's just swap that one out for something that actually works, and then we'll see what happens. Okay, so I found another EL84, otherwise known as a 6BQ5, and they're all the output tubes, 3rd channel, left and right. So we're going to put that guy in. It's got tick, that means I've tested it and it's good. So we'll pull this one out. Well there you go. That's probably why it was leaking, because it probably fractured or blew at another point in its life. Now these are all Motorola branded, these ones. These are not, but these preamps, 12X87s, they're Motorola, so these could be an original. But anyway, if you pull this out, see if it will come out without breaking off tons of other interior bits. There we go. So there you go. That's why it had that white top. Anyway, we'll put that guy in, and then we'll slowly ramp it up. Okay, so we got that new tube in. The unit is turned on up top, but I've turned some lights off so we can probably see some glow, hopefully. But yeah, so let's turn this guy on. So that's power on, and we're gonna slowly bring it up. I have to go backwards and forwards because I've only got 2 hands. We're going to slowly bring it up to 39, 40. See if we start seeing a glow. Probably not. So let's go. That was 26. I'm looking at, let's go halfway, very slowly, and see if anything's happening. Nope. Any glow? All right, so go a bit more. What we got here? Let's go up to 70. Let's go to 65, 70. Starting to get a glow right there. All right, here we go. No sparks yet. I've got the volume turned down low, so you might not hear anything. But there we go. Stuff's starting to happen. We're gonna go a little higher. Where are we at now? 78. Let's go gently up to 100. I'm keeping an eye on this. All right. So far, so good. We're at 91. I hear volume. And some crackling and stuff. So we're going to go 100%, up a little bit more. All right. That's a really good sign. We have power, we are working. And it's Christmas time, because you can hear Dino singing. All right, so that is good. We'll now get this out, put it on the bench and start recapping and all that good stuff. But there you go. Bring it up gently, and then you're not gonna give a mad rush of current to old components. Now, Motorola do a really good job of labeling their component stuff, their vacuum tubes, and even in there, if you can see, there's even a wiring diagram of sorts. So that tells you where all these wires go. I would still do photographs. That's the audio in, that's power and function. We've got lights and what have you, but take photographs of this anyway. This comes out, it's held by 5/16 nut bolts, which are screwed into the base. There's a couple on the back side as well. When you try to take off, I'll show you when I try to take off the third channel, you kind of have to spin it around a bit. Also, the tuner section, we'll get to that in a moment, but this is the AM board, antenna board. It's basically 2 bolts, screws, right there and there. And then these guys, 1, 2, basically just plug, you unplug them from there, just pull them up, and then this guy comes off so you can get to that guy. And that's a little bit tricky, but I'll show you what to do there. All right, let's get cracking. So you've done the speaker connections right there, left, right, and common. And as you can see, I've already done some of the 5/16, but then you got this gorgeous tool right here. And I'm doing this, let's see if I can, there it is. All right. And of course, that's the great way to do these. See if I can show you the back one. I can't really get the camera and my tool in there, but there's a couple at the back there as well. All right. Okay, so we got those bolts out. Now, to be able to spin this so I can get the screws to the third channel, you want to be able to spin it like this so they come to here so you can undone. As you can see, the speaker wires are undone. You have to undo the cabinet light. There's one for the phono area, and there's also the cabinet on light. So you got to undo that, break this catch paper, like what do you call it? Lockdown, cable tie, paper one, and then thread it through the hole. Same with this guy, goes up there, and it goes all the way up there to this unit. And that's the little light that lights up the phono section. So just lift this up, just slides up, and then same on that guy, just pull it up. Is that right? Or is it slide up? Forget which way. You know, I'm gonna take the bulb out. Oh, there you go, it's a push. Push down, I thought it was a push up. But yeah, push that down, poke it back through the hole. And then you're gonna get the wire up in there and pull it out and thread it through the hole so that then you can turn this. Okay, so with the lights taken out, you should now be able to spin this ever so slightly to get the third channel connections off. You get a screwdriver in there. So that basically goes to the woofer. So mark those, because as you can see, positive and common ground. So mark those here as well. Take those off, and then we can lift this out, put it on the bench. Okay, so that's out and on the bench. Now let's talk about the tuner section. You're going to thread these cables through the holes here, because these are all, this one's hardwired to the tuner and preamp section right there. The phono power and audio out is usually trapped by this guys. I think this is like a sound baffle from these speakers. It's probably a sound baffle, so you don't get any reverb going up into the changer there. So you can just pry this off and then slide these out so they can come through the holes here. It's all gonna have to come together with the tuner section. I'm gonna have to end up taking this whole thing out because I've got to get that speaker board out to replace the grill cloth. So I'll probably end up taking that out anyway. Here is the external antenna connection and the tape in. There is 2 1/4-inch screw bolts there. You'd have to take them all out, just undo them, and this thing slides like that and then drops out. Don't forget to undo the antenna connection first. Very gently pull, very gently. You don't want to rip those connections out. Anyway, undo that, slide over, and this will come away as it will with the tape inputs, right? Give it a little twist. And of course, there's one of those paper cable ties. You really want to take this off because getting that out is a bit of a juggle. It's kind of tricky because it's a bit of a tight fit and it's got to get by these guys. I've done it before. I've always forget which is the best way, but I'll show you. One of the first things you're going to do is go over here and start pulling knobs off. Come straight off. Oh, that's broken. So right there was a little lever for the mono stereo. It's been, oh, that's very stiff. That's why somebody yanked on it and broke it off. So that is supposed to be like that and move nicely. This will also pull off. I'll probably end up using a screwdriver and a cloth to get that off without, so I don't break it. But yeah, that's been broken. But as you pull these knobs off, you'll see these screws right here. And these screws hold this faceplate down. This faceplate's got to come off because there's 2 more big screws that hold the tuner section mount board up against in there, as well as those 2 guys right there. So that's got to come out, and I'll show you that when it's off. Okay, so I took those screws out and I got that guy out. I think the best way to do it is actually just gently, oh, there you go, pull that off, stick it in with the other guys so we don't lose it. So those screws are out, and then this should wiggle, that's been stuck on for years, lift straight off. And as you can see, 1, 2 big screws. You can undo those right now because it's not going to fall out because I showed you those other 2 that hold the baseboard for this. So take those out and then we'll get to the other side. Okay, so we've got those 2 screws off from up there. It's not going to go anywhere because we've got to get those out and those out to feed this out. I think it comes this way rather than that way, but we'll see. You thread all the cables out through the holes, everything's disconnected and it's just hanging here loose. And take out the FM tube from the FM box. Take that out so you don't bend it and bang it. Put it to one side, it's right there. And we use this lovely tool and hold it with one hand and screw these guys out. This is a 2-handed job, so I'm going to hand over the filming function duties to my lovely assistant. All right, so you got to keep your hand on this, and I'm going to undo this one if I get it on. This is when this tool comes in handy because you want to be fast and quick because you've got a bit of weight here. Now remember, everything we're doing here is the same as an SK32. Exactly the same. It's just a different cabinet from the front. All right, those are out. It starts to come, as you can see, and if I remember rightly, it comes this way and out, and we're free. and on the bench. Okay, that was mission success. So that went very well. I've already removed the baffle board there so we can get to the speaker boards. Before I forget though, so you've got the glass right here, very fragile. Don't break these. I've seen them broke, and good luck getting another one. But you can clean it. I wouldn't take it out. You don't need to. As you can see, you can clean it from there as well. So just be very gentle with that, but get it a good clean. And now we're going to take the speaker boards out. I've actually never took these out before. I've never had to, never needed to until now. But you can just see that already, bunches of screws around here. So we'll take those off, mark the speaker wires. You can leave the loom in there. But yeah, mark those. We're going to take all those screws out. And that should just pop out. Hopefully, like I said, this is my first time as well. And we'll do the same with that guy. That one's real easy. I've done those before because they've had holes in them before, but that's a lovely Jensen. All right, here we go. Okay, so we got everything out. All the speaker boards, as you can see right here, mid-range. I'm guessing these are some kind of, one of them's got to be a tweeter of some sort, but I'm guessing that's a mid-range, or full range, that's a mid-range, who knows? Anyway, there's a reason these things sound good, because of all this speaker stuff. Got the big 15-inch out, looks very good condition, no holes or breaks, just a bit dusty. So yeah, these are in good shape as well. So we'll fix those up, tighten up all these screws and swap out the crossover caps, but yeah, retighten everything. And then, as you come around this way, we've got to get these slats off. These are these decorative slats right here. So they've got to come off. And they're basically a bunch of screws, tons and tons of screws. Now, the same thing's going to happen when you try to get the board off itself. Lots of screws, and some screws are going to be hidden. There's always a hidden one or two. Like the mount for the speaker board right here, that's got to come off because I bet there's screws behind that hold this on. They're on the sideways. So it's going to be an expedition. If you're doing this yourself, you'll be discovering it as you go, as I am. So best of luck. Okay, slight change of tack. Decided to get the whole thing off first. And the reason for that was, see if they'll stand up, is that some of these slat screws were hidden by stuff like this. So the whole thing came off very nicely. I did, as you can see, have to break off the speaker board mounts because they glued them on there as well, but that's okay. I'm sure 3 screws when it goes back in is more than enough to hold those boards. So there you have it. Mark this thing so you know which way it goes. I mean, it's pretty obvious, speakers are here, but definitely when you take the slats off, make sure you mark them, you know, at the top, 1, 2, 3, etc. So they go in the same way, because I guarantee you the screws will be just slightly different where they won't line up. All right. Okay, we got the slats off. They're numbered as if from the front. That's why it looks backwards. And that being the top, so they'll go back on nicely. And here's the grill cloth. It's pretty grubby in spots, as you can see. But it's not heinous, but it's got dirt in there. Now, I'm going to try something before I actually strip all this off. I'm actually going to use some simple green and spray it on there, let it just drip down. This is all plastic. It's a plastic covering, it's not a cloth, even though it's called grill cloth, but this is man-made. But yeah, it's got a lot of dirt and stuff in it, you know, and if I'm going to get top dollar for this, then it's going to look top dollar. So as you can see, the different shades, especially here, it's just like dirt. Anyway, I'll give it a spray. If it comes up really nice and even, then I might leave it, but otherwise it's going to get recovered. Okay, so it didn't really clean up very well. It's probably hard, it's probably all pixelated on the video. But anyway, it didn't clean up and it's just lost its vibrance. So I'm going to replace it with this. This will really pixelate because it's a very fine pattern. But if you can see in there, it's got some nice little goldy specks, which will be nice to the eye. This thing really pixelates on a photograph, but it'll look great, it'll look new, and it should, it should make it pop. Okay, so we stripped the old stuff off, a bunch of staples, and we got the new stuff on. With new staples, I use a Sure Bonder, compressor, and yeah, you stretch it out as much as you can. Now, I use this Super 77 glue here because the old fabric was much more rigid than this. This is a lot softer, a lot more pliable. So obviously I sprayed the wood with a good coating of glue and then laid this on top and then quickly stapled one edge, pull tight and staple the other edge. So there you go. Obviously the slats here, when they're put on there, will also hold it all together. But yeah, we want to get glue on these cross members here so when the 3-channel loudness doesn't move the cloth away from the board. Okay, there's our new cloth. Turned out pretty damn nice and looking a lot better than the dirty original. Just pops a little bit more. But yeah, put the slats back on and yeah, we'll get this in there and mounted, re-screwed, and start on the speakers. Okay, we got the woofer back in there and gonna get the speaker balls back in, but first we're gonna change these crossover caps. This is a non-polarized, bipolar, whatever you want to call it, 5 MFD, UFD, UF capacitor. So we've got this little guy. Isn't that amazing how big they were and now they're that size? Anyway, 4.7 UF. And what I do is I snip the connections off so that I can easily solder them on and then plug them back in, if you know what I mean, to the existing wires and spade connectors. So that's on there. That'll obviously go back together properly when it's in there. All right, let's get them in. Okay, so we've got the boards back in. As you can see, everything hooked up as it should. New caps. You can cinch these up with tape or zip ties so it doesn't bounce around, but to tell you the truth, it's going to be fine. It's not like it's going in a motorhome. Anyway, yeah, there you go. So we got those in, and now we're going to crack on with the... Okay, on to the amplifier. It's a bit grubby. I did blow it off, but I'm going to try and clean it up a little bit. This usually has a copper, kind of like that, look to it, but it's got some surface rust. I don't think it was actually water, but it could have been condensation or something like that. We did test this before. It does work. Anyway, we're going to clean it up and we're going to do some capping. The only electrolytic right there, the multi-can, we'll swap that out. Also, the only real caps in here, no electrolytics, as you can see. We got some filter coupling caps right here, but these two guys on the 3rd channel, we are going to replace those. You want that to be in tip-top condition, because otherwise you just get too much bass, and also a lot of ground hum is amplified by that big 15-inch woofer. So we're going to swap those out. All right, here we go. Okay, so we're going to start with this guy, multi-can, and we're going to do this old trick. We're going to chop it off, and then we're going to mount these guys this way with a common ground. A lot of people like to stuff these things, stuff the can. That's another story. I don't get it when you don't see the thing when it's buried in there. If it was a Fisher 500, you were seeing everything, I could understand stuff in the can. So we're going to get those 3 on there. Big values, sorry, not big values, but big voltage, 40, 40, 30, all at 400. So we're going to use a 47 and a 33. It'll be even better. The little guy, the 125 volt, that'll get put on underneath. All right, here we go. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we're going to chop this baby off with this guy. And let's get it level, give a good grip, and hack away. Voila. Okay, so there's all the guts of that guy. Very old. You can see these markings right here. Should be that way. And you'll see they have a half moon, square, and a triangle. And we'll transpose those from the other side to the top so you know where to drill the right holes for your new caps to go in. All right, gonna clean this up. Okay, so we clean that up somewhat. And now we have to transfer the markings, as you can see right there. Half moon or half circle, square, and triangle. 40, 40, 30. The 100 will lie up in here on its own. But we got to transfer those markings over. And if I can show you without too much light, right there, that's a triangle. Over there is the square. I know I could throw a bit more light on this. Watch this. There you go. So anyway, see what I'm talking about? Okay, so I transferred the markings. I did it on both sides because it's kind of hard to see on the black surface, but we're actually going to drill on this side. But as you can see, we've got a triangle, square, and a half moon. But we're going to drill on the inside because the outside there's not so much room and you don't want that connection touching the frame. So we're going to drill here, here, and here with this 5/16 bit, and then we're going to thread our caps through. Give them a good ream out. And there you go. So here's our caps. We know it's negative to ground, this guy. And as we can see here again, if I'm showing you the right way, we've got 40, 40, 40, 40, which is basically the half moon and the square. So right here we've got a 47, half moon and square, so that's going to go in like that. That's the 33. Go back to the 40, half moon and square right there. And it goes. You'll find it's kind of an interesting fit, but we're going to do some hot glue later, keep it all separated. And then we put the 33 in the triangle. Oops, see? Wrong way. Pay attention. Positive down. So they're in there. 33 was just checking, was the triangle. 30, replacement 33, 400 volts triangle. That guy goes in there. So yeah, if you look at that, and I'll whip this camera down now, it all sits in there nicely like that. This is all going to be kind of tight eventually, and we're going to put hot glue. I'm going to put these down and seat them a little bit better. As you can see what I'm doing right now. So you'll line those up and we'll touch them from the rear. Okay, so as you can see there, they've now got those wires poked through, and we're going to wrap these around its corresponding prong tang connection. I'm going to wrap those around and then solder them. You can see what I'm talking about But yeah, that'll get wrapped around in there. And then we'll do the last one to this guy right there. Okay, so as you can see, we've got those soldered nicely. We've got that little guy in there now, that little 100. I'm going to bend this back because I bent it to get in there. So make sure that this insulation is okay, your drill didn't nick it, and everything is separated as it should be before you put it back together. I also did these guys, those coupling caps right there. So these were 0.05. So 0.047 is going to be absolutely fine because they're brand new and their tolerance is plus or minus 20%. So that should help that third channel sound just a little bit better. Okay, so we twisted all those connection leads together and we put some grounding wire on there, solder that up, and then you're going to get a bit of shrink tubing. And if I can do this one-handed, obviously that's going to go on there and get shrunk. We're going to pass this guy through one of these holes, probably this one. We're going to ground it out, and then you're done. Well, you're almost done. I forgot that we're going to fill that space there with hot glue. So basically, all down in here, just get your glue gun and fill it as much as you can, get the gun in there, and that's just going to keep this stable. All right, the tuner section. Pretty grubby, a little dust and dirt and dead bugs, but we'll blow that off with compressed air. You got to separate it from the mounting board, which we undid earlier. Screws here and here. So we're going to take this off, and underneath there'll be I think it's only like 2 electrolytics if my memory serves me, but we're going to have a check in there and clean it up and make sure everything's okay. I'll test the tubes on my tube tester. If you don't have one of those, which you probably don't, you could always send them out. But at the end of the day, if it works, I wouldn't worry about it unless it's making weird noises and not tuning in. A word of not tuning in. This guy, this is the I call it the FM box. They go wrong very often on Motorola's. There's a thing called silver mica disease, I believe is the culprit. These are a nightmare to get off and repair. I'll show you why later. But if it doesn't tune in with a replacement of a new tube, it's probably mica disease. Anyway, we'll talk about that from the other side. Okay, we got the board off and I did a bit of a cleanup. I'll show you first that front plate. So yeah, some rust spots here, especially here. I'm going to take this off and paint it. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. It's upside down right now, but this will just drop off this way. So this is an enamel piece, so it'll clean up nicely on its own, but that's got to be painted because it looks terrible. Spin it around. Now's your time to clean the pots out with your contact cleaner. Check everything out, make sure nothing looks burnt out or what have you. Yeah, it only has 2 electrolytics. This guy I think's an 8 down in there, and then this big 10400, which you can see is leaking. That's the goop coming out of there. So we're going to put a new one, and that should make it sound better. But yeah, like I said, just do all your checks, and anything looks suspicious, just replace it. That FM box, to get that off, all these connections have to be broken. There's a lot of them. It's a big job. Silver mica disease, Google it, but basically shreds, fine particles come off these mica caps and mess the FM section up. So you better love your radio if you're going to do that job. Otherwise, you can always Bluetooth this and you'll get HD radio through your Bluetooth. But yeah, all right, let's get cracking. Okay, so I fired her up just to check everything was going nicely, and yeah, we have audio.
Total when you get any small, medium, or large Frosty in the Wendy's app. So order
And
something from your own
perfect commercials, because otherwise I have to run copyrights for music. But yeah, everything seems to be working okay. Check the tubes. Obviously the faceplate's being painted, so that's gone. The magic bulb is very dim. It's brighter on this camera, but it's very dim, but I believe I have one in stock, EM81, so I'm going to swap that out. Also, this station
In cooperation with federal
is 106.5. There's the indicator dial. 106.5 is over there. So it's all the way over here. And the reason for that is, it happens a lot on these units, is this cord, where's my finger? There it is. This cord either stretches and the collar slips. So you got to adjust this collar by there's one screw there, one on the other back side. You've got to adjust this collar so that it's pulling the spring-loaded, what would you call it? I think it's a plunger, but obviously it's the tuning plunger in there. You've got to adjust that so it matches up with this being over here. Of course, you can't do that inside because the dial plate's over is, you can't do this tech thing adjustment inside the cabinet because that's right there, but you can get an approximation by measuring. Be very careful, because if you go the wrong way and you start tuning, as you can see it's moving right there, you'll end up pulling that plunger right out and then it's really broken. But anyway, that's what's going on with that. Still commercials. Anyway, sounds pretty damn good. Obviously, I'll hook it up and do a proper video of it playing audio, record or tape or whatever. But yeah, I'll put it back together and get it in there. Okay, the changer. I'm not going to go too deep into this because it's a Voice of Music rebranded by Motorola. And I've done quite a few of these, and so has so many people, but we will just go through a few points. One of them is we're going to swap out this. It's a Sonotone 8T. Doesn't even put out half a volt. It's like 0.03 or something. We're going to swap that out with a Fan Steel 228, which puts out just under a volt. So you're going to get a little bit more oomph from your records. These are great replacements. Unfortunately, I personally don't think they put out the most greatest bass response. They're a bit thin on certain units, not necessarily this one because this has got a third channel. So this is going to be perfect in here. I'm going to show you how I do it. Other people do it different ways, but with the included pins. So there's that, and there's also the motor mounts. If you can see in there, that one is completely depressed. So we're going to swap those out and service the motor and what have you. Okay, well, we've already removed the clip that goes right there. It's not really necessary. If anything, it could slow down a little bit if the tolerance wasn't perfect. But anyway, because you know, it rides literally in here. And then we're going to pull this guy off. As you can see, it's a bit tricky. There we go. And let's have a look. Okay, as you sometimes pull these off, the bearing is stuck. And that is stuck rock hard. So more resistance, so lack of speed. This version actually does have a bearing. A lot of times it's just chrome on chrome resistance, no bearing at all. And there's the two-step idler. Let's take that off real quick and have a look at it. Pop the clip off with a small screwdriver. Try not to stab yourself. There we go. And take note of the, on this one, you'll notice there's a nice metal skinny washer. And on this guy underneath, there should be another one there. Sometimes it sticks to there, but there's the other skinny washer dude. All right, the wheel. It's a two-step. As you can see, it's actually not bad at all. It's not cracking, but it is pliable. We'll see about this. That edge has got to be cleaned up. Oh, now you can see it starting to, right there, starting to crack a little bit. But I don't know if this will be usable. Might soften it up with some with some special solution that I have. Otherwise, we're going to put a new one in it. All right. Plenty of junk in there. But what we're going to do is we're going to flip it over. Let's do that now. And we're going to pay more attention to just doing the motor. This is missing a spring. Just notice that. There was one in the bottom of the, so I'm looking in the kit right here. There was a spring in the bottom of the console, broken, and I guess that's what it is, as you can see. So this guy goes on there like that, if I can get it on, and would go on there, and that's basically to bring the cycle cam back to base where it stays during its cycle. As you can see, this is moving not bad at all, but this is all going to come off and get cleaned and serviced. I've done these before, so I'm not going to do this one, but we will just do the motor and the motor mounts, and like I said, the cartridge. Okay, we've cleaned all that up and put it back together. Like I said, it's in previous videos, so I wasn't going to languish on that. The spring that broke, plus the missing clip, I had one from an parts units that I collect, so we got a new one of those. Now you could probably get that from Gary at Voice of Music. So now we're going to take the motor apart. Well, not really apart, but we're going to take off the, get that nut out. Where'd it go? Did that fall out immediately? Yeah, anyway, that nut, which just fell off somewhere, we'll grab it. Oh, there it is. Jesus. Couldn't even see it. Anyway, let me grab that before I plunk it somewhere. Put that right there. Then we'll get this guy off. Same thing with that nut right there. Move the ground. And then, oh, there's another one underneath there, of course, because that was just for the ground strap. I'll take that guy. Yep, falls off. There we go. Get them all over there. And there's a washer. And now we're going to pull this off. Ooh, it's a bit stiff on this one. That's dried out nicely. So this is why we take this off, because that armature has quite nicely almost welded itself to the bearing. Oh yeah, this one's on there. See if I can wangle it off without causing any damage. There we go. Let me lose the washer before I spin it over. So as you can see that there, it's all gunky and gooey. Also on the other side, we're going to clean that up as well. But if you can see, that is all dry and gunky. That's the bronze bushing. It's not really a bearing. It's basically oil cooled with a bronze bushing. So this thing rides nicely. So we're going to clean this out, acetone, clean it up, oil. Same with that guy. We basically get all that gunk off there. And probably some gunk around here as well. Just how's that looking in there? Yeah, that's not bad. You don't have to pull the whole thing out if it looks okay. It looks okay. Just needs some oil and on the other side, which I'll show you. Pulling the whole thing out is pretty damn hard, because I'll show on the other side, because the capstan's in the way, and you're going to make yourself a lot more work trying to get the thing on. So we'll give this a good clean, and then same thing in here. You want to get that Q-tip with some acetone, give it a really good push it in there, and give it a really good clean. There you go. Get all that muck off there. Same right there. Clean this surface up. Nice. All right. Then I got my motor oil. You know, let me talk about the motor oil. Let me go get it for you. This is the stuff that actually Gary Stork at Voice of Music recommends. He recommends this stuff exactly. I've used it extensively and it's great. All right, now we're going to give this a good bath. Hope you can see this there. Going to give that a really good bath, and in there, all over there. And you're going to wet it until it kind of fills up a little bit. You can't, the felt or whatever stuff they used is soaked up. And get that nice and wet. Yeah, that's about it. It's not going down anymore. And then we're going to put a little bit on there, because why not? Pop that back on. Spin this a little bit. Oh, night and day. It'll be even better when we do the other side. All right, so I'm going to put that back together and then we'll flip it over. Okay, before we get started on the other side, this side, I'm going to post up a link right now of where you can go to see a previous demonstration of this guy being serviced. It's not this exact version. It's the next version where the motor doesn't go, the whole motor goes up and down for speed. It's the version where the idler is single and the idler moves up and down on the capstan, which is that guy. This is like the very first early version. And what we're going to do is we're going to take this off so you can see how to change those mounts. But there is also another way. You can actually change these mounts while this thing's in situ. It's easy to do. This one that I showed you earlier being the bugger to get at. But what we're going to do is we're actually going to take this guy off completely so we can get to oiling the motor and the mounts a lot easier. So it's one screw, two screw, and you lift that guy up and that big nut right there. And this thing will drop and you thread out the on-off engage lever. You just thread it through. But let's attempt to do it now. I'll fast forward through all the boring bits. But first to come off is that. Okay, this one is a 5/8. And do that like that. That's off there. Then I'm going to take this one. And now would be a good time to put your hand underneath. I already did, remember I put on the ground strap underneath? I already took that off because that would hang it up. So we take that guy off like so. And then it drops down, the weight's off balance. It drops down, that's when you thread that guy off right there. And there it is, it's hanging by its own cables now. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do another flip over while holding this. I know it's a bit fiddly, but there we go. Hopefully I'm all centered up again. Get the weight displaced. And there we go. There's your motor. Okay, so I spun it around so I could work on it. So, yeah, we got to get these mounts off. You can put your knob back on there so you can spin this guy up. So now you can get these off. These motor mount clips here. We'll just pop those off. You can use a, it's kind of hard to get a pair of pliers in there, so you use a screwdriver. And this, notice this one, I'm going to turn it this way again. It's a small guy, so it goes around this, fixing this hole here. That's a very small one. And usually it's better to do that when it's up closer up. There we go. Watch that clip doesn't fall. Did I get it? Yep, there it is. All right, and now we can spin that guy back up. And this should just separate. Voila. There you go. So you're basically gonna pop all these out, put new ones in. Yeah, these, ooh, very hard. And we've got these nice soft guys in there. Will help with rumble, motor rumble quite a lot. So yeah, get those out. And then we have the motor, which this all should be cleaned up anyway. And before I go to oiling, let's just give this a wipe round here. Get all that gunk off. So you remember me telling you about not having to move the actual armature itself? Well, the reason for that is that capstan on there is probably heat treated on. If you took that off, you'd be in a world of hurt. So now that's done, but now you can get at it and you can basically drench that in oil. Get your oiler in there and just squeeze it in and fill it full of oil and you will be good to go. When you got this spinning, when you're testing it, clean all this crap off as well. I'll show you that later. But all that excess rubber there, when this guy's turning, you put your Q-tip in there while it's spinning and you clean all that off. But if we get to that, I'll show you. All right, do all that, put it back together. Okay, now with it all put back together, I have this test connection here so I can run it straight from the mains here, but you probably have to do this in situ when it's hooked up to your amp. But I can now turn it on, as you can see, and now is a great time to clean that capstan up while spinning and get all that excess rubber off there from that idler wheel, which I don't know if deteriorating or not. I'm going to mess around with that after I put this back together. But there you go. I also put a little grease on here. You turn that off so that it just travels up a little bit like nicely, because that's a lot of weight moving up and down what that motor's carrying. All right, I'm going to put it back together and flip it over. Okay, the two-step idler wheel. Now this one's not bad, it's very shiny here, so we're going to do a little trick because it's actually very pliable and that cracking isn't really cracking of the rubber, it's just kind of like a coating on the top surface. So we're going to try and do a little trick by putting it in, an arbor. So I made this arbor here out of a nut and bolt that fits perfectly within the diameter of the ID of this unit. And we're going to put it in this drill here, like that. And what we're going to do is, with a bit of emery cloth, is that what you guys call it? Anyway, emery right here. This is 320 grit. We're going to, is that going the right way? Away from me, yeah. We're going to slowly take off the surface. I'm going to do both. Now, don't get crazy and make sure you keep it flat. Don't try and introduce any curvature or anything. So you know it's just taking that off there. And same with this one, nice and slow. It's good to have a variable drill. And we're just gonna wind that off and take that shiny top surface off. Like that. Then we will get out our trusty acetone and Q-tips and clean it off. And now you don't have a shiny edge, you have a grippy edge. You might have to do this a couple of times. Now, there's a trick with slow speeds on that guy. If you've got a slow speed, you can take some of this off to make it faster. But you've got to be careful because there's a point of no return. It's an old trick. Sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. But yeah, if your motor's running slow, you can take some of this surface off to speed it up. And you can only do that on a two-step. Obviously, because it's a two-step, you're transferring different speed ratios from this to this by taking some of this off. Whatever the science is, I'm not saying incorrectly, but it's there. Actually, that needs a bit more off. It's got shiny again, just by me cleaning it. So let's do some more. Oop. Let's do some more. All right, there we go. We'll clean it. And then we're going to use this stuff. This is Regrip. It's made by a company called Rawn. It took me a while to find it. I think I might have found it on Amazon, but I might have found it even somewhere else on the interweb. But this is a rubber cleaner and revitalizer made by the company Rawn. You're going to put a coating of this on, and then you can leave it for like 30 minutes, and it kind of penetrates and makes the rubber a little bit more pliable, a bit more give, just like, you know, brake fluid does when you soak these things. That's another trick. But anyway, we've done that. We'll stick it in and see what happens. Okay, the Sonotone 8T that we're going to swap out. I was hoping it was going to be good, but it was not. I put a new needle in right there, an 804, had that in stock, to see what it sounded like. And the left side is all mushy. The right side sounds great. So we're going to get this out and we're going to swap it over with this guy. I'll do my best to do this one-handed and overhead with the video, because I am only two-handed. So basically, drop these screws out, and this is a 3-spade. The double, it's a double ground right there, so you've only got 3 spade ends, which we're going to use. But it does mean that you're going to have to do a ground on this guy, link the grounds. I'll show you how to do that. There's the clips. They need a little special attention as well. But anyway, we're going to get that out. As you can see, it's 2 screws, and remove those clips gently with pliers or needle tip prongs. What do you call them? These guys. Those guys, which are great. They're like dental pliers. Does he call them pliers? Grips, whatever. Anyway, these things are great. Get them in your arsenal. They're good. All right, let's get that guy out. Okay, so we got that cartridge out, as you can see here. And the clips, there's 3, right, left, and a double ground that's put together, and we got to do something on the cartridge to accommodate that. But I just thought I'd show you right there. See that clip right there? It slides right in, so you don't have to cut these guys off, and there's plenty of room for it to, in the back of this thing, to ride. So these clips that are supplied, which we are going to use, slide right in. Now you might have to do a little crimping to make it a little tighter on the existing lead, but that is a really nice, easy way to do it. Okay, so we got that guy out, and now we have to get this guy in. It's a perfect fit almost, but this gap here, where's the file? It's a little tight. So you're going to end up filing this area here so that it accommodates that area there, and will fit in. So we're going to do that, file that out, because that's the cartridge clip right there. Also, the new fan steel, as you can see, is 4 legs there, 2 grounds left and right, and a ground for each. Now, as I just showed you previously, this guy's got only 3, 2 of the clips are together for the ground, so we're gonna have to put a little bit of wire around here, a little bit of wire around there with a very light solder. Gotta be very careful about the heat, because if it's too hot, you will melt this pin here and transfer it to inside, and then you've basically ruined the cartridge. So there's gonna be a little wire wrap, And what I usually do is, I got a bunch of these capacitors in stock. I just take this piece of wire out of it because this is way too much than you normally need anyway. So I'm going to cut this, and then I'm going to make a little clip that's going to join those grounds together so that when we put the other clips on, it'll be all tickety-boo. Now, the clips. Let me get this on the pins and clips. Remember I just showed you these that they're going to slide right in? Well, that gap right there is too tight. So what we end up doing is, let me transfer this to a pair of pliers. What you're going to do is I get a jeweler's screwdriver and I basically push it in and push that gap out. So this is a little wider, because otherwise you'll try forcing this onto this pin. You'll try forcing it and it basically pushes that pin in to the body of the cartridge, and then once again it's NG. So you're going to make that gap just a little bigger so it'll go on easier. Okay, as you can see, we wrap that piece of wire around there and then very lightly did a spot of solder. And now we're going to put the clips on. Okay, we got the clips on. See if I can rotate this a bit. Oh, focus. We got the clips on. Oh, you can see the solder better now. So there's the wired solder. Clips are on. And then we're going to slide them onto those wires right there. Those spade clamp clips. Like I said, you might have to pinch the edges a little bit. And then we're going to mount that guy in there. Okay, we're all in there. As you can see, there is plenty of room for these clips to go on the original clips. No need to cut and solder, so that's kind of nice, especially if you ever got to change it out again. Don't forget to set the tracking. You'll know how to do that with this guy. These fan steels, these fan steels, they track at between 4 and 8, would you believe? You need at least 4 or 5 on this guy, because otherwise if it's too light, it won't have enough weight to end the cycle on the record. So make sure you mess around with the tracking, but otherwise let's give it a go. I was just talking about tracking, so I thought I'd share with you how I do it. There's this great little device here that you can get from Amazon. I think they're like 10 bucks. It's a little scale. I have no idea what this was originally used for, but anyway, it's really handy. So I've just adjusted the spring. We're going to put this on here and we're going to see what it says. 3.1718. It's a little light, I think, but you know what? You put it down a little harder. Ah, there you go. So it's almost 4 grams, 3.76. So I'm going to go with that and see if it does the a shutdown cycle at the end of the record. Okay, so we have got, turn that on, we've got our service turntable, we've got a new cartridge, fan steel, and we've yet to see if this guy's going to run and work with the refreshed idle wheel and on speed and all that good stuff. So yeah, we plugged in, a little bit of volume, and wish me luck. Wow. Well, that just sounds awesome. So that's very, very nice. Now let's see if it's got enough tracking to finish the record, my tracking weight to push it over, because you know it's pushing that lever to eject and end the sequence or drop another record. So let me come over here, I'll eyeball it. hopefully without tripping it. And I'll put it right there. Bit of volume. And there you have it. Proof right there. Not enough weight to finish. So that 3.7 grams is too light. So I'm going to increase it a bit. It'll probably end up at 4.5. But yeah, it can't push the trip to end the cycle. So I will increase that a little bit. But yeah, that's why the tracking is important on these older versions of the VOM. Now, let's take this off and let's check the speed out. See if I can just turn it on gently. And then we have this guy. This is a RPM app on your iPhone. I have it on 2 phones so I can film with the other phone, obviously. But this is a great gadget to have. It's very accurate. Hit the lock there, and we're going to drop this on and see what this speed is. Wow, that is absolutely perfect. It is like a smidge fast, and it'll probably get even better with a bunch of records on there, if you know what I mean, a bit of weight. But yeah, there you go. Let me grab that. Close, no thanks, and there we go. What is that? It's fast by 0.19%, 33.4. I'll take fast any day of the week because you can actually fix fast. You can actually fix slow on this guy we talked about with that idler wheel, but on single idler wheels, fixing slow is hard, but fixing fast is easy. That's another video. Another great thing about the 2-step is that it has a little bit more torque, so it helps finish cycles very easily when the tracking's correct. All right, let's get this baby in the console and more testing. Okay, so we got the changer back in there. She's pretty much done, but I just want to talk about one more thing. I talked about it before, and this is the tips of the legs. As you can see there, that's water damage. They all have it, and it's where the water is taken away the stain and the finish. It's pointless trying to match this to that by coloring in and what have you. You just never do it. So we're gonna gold tip it. I've done this before on this model, the Mirage. So I'm gonna mask this off, finish it off, mask it, and then just tip these with gold paint. It gives it a little bit of bling, and it's pretty nice. Sets it off with all the other shiny bits, but I thought I'd share that with you. So let me get rid of that, and we'll go out with some Mr. Enoch Light, and I'll do a proper video when it's all done, so it's all bling and what have you. But yeah, let's just try. Oh, I did adjust the tracking. It's a little heavier, but yeah. Let's go off, let's set this to RIA. There we go. There you go. Thanks for watching. That kind of music really uses that third channel. That's Enoch Light for you. All right, thanks for watching. We'll do it again. And don't forget, this also covers the SK32. All the guts are exactly the same. Thanks for watching, and we'll do it again.